1999. This is the year that Ancelotti began creating his 25-year master plan. Vinicius Jr., Bellingham, Modric, Valverde have all taken their place, but there has always been one missing piece, and that is Kylian Mbappe. Ancelotti is a name synonymous with success in football. As a manager, he's won 5 Champions Leagues, 4 Super Cups, 3 Club World Cups, 2 La Ligas, a Bundesliga, a Serie A, the Premier League, even an FA Cup. And of course, he managed Everton. The greatest manager of all time, some might say. Except Man United fans, we all know who they would say. However, 25 years ago, Ancelotti admitted that he made a mistake, and it was one that went on to change football forever. So now, it's time for redemption. At the end of the 1998 season, Parma finished 6th in the Serie A, which, despite being enough for Champions League football, was not enough for the club to keep their manager at the time, Carlo Ancelotti. Meanwhile, up in Turin, Juventus had just won their 25th Serie A title and were managed by eventual World Cup winner Marcelo Lippi. And not only that, they had just made it to their second Champions League final in a row, where they did lose 1-0 to Real Madrid. And with a lethal attack and with a very tight defence, Juventus still looked like they were on the up and ready to go again to hunt down that Champions League trophy on a third attempt. However, midway through the 1998-99 season, Lippi announced that he was joining or wanted to join rivals Inter Milan, leaving the Juventus job up for grabs. Starting to see where this is going, right? In February of 1999, Ancelotti was appointed Juventus manager, where they went on to finish the season 7th. An incredible underperformance, especially when you consider the squad that they had. They had the likes of Antonio Conte, Inzaghi, Del Piero, Edgar Davids, Didier Deschamps, even Zinedine Zidane, and yes, a young Thierry Henry. Born to Guadeloupe and Martinique parents, Henry was raised in a suburb of Paris called Les Ulis, I think, where he joined local club's youth academy at the age of 6. And then fast forward to 1992, where a now 15-year-old Thierry Henry joined the youth system at Arsene Wenger's Monaco, and on the 31st of August 1994, Henry made his debut in a 2-0 loss to Nice. Interestingly though, despite playing on the left wing due to his quick pace, his dribbling ability and his skills, Wenger always said that he saw Henry more as a number 9, which is a fact very important for later on in this video. Now, after 7 years at Monaco, Henry decided to switch the Monte Carlo Casino, the F1 and the super yachts for Turin. Marcelo Lippi wanted the young Frenchman to sign as a centre-forward, playing ahead of his national teammate Zinedine Zidane in either a 4-3-1-2 or a 3-5-2 system. This was why they were willing to spend £10.5 million on him, which was a lot at the time to spend on a young player like Henry. His 20 goals in 105 appearances at Monaco showed that whilst not record-breaking numbers, at a young age he certainly knew how to find the back of the net, and considering he spent half his time on the left wing, I don't think that's that bad. Now, the intention was probably for him to rotate with Amoruso to play alongside Inzaghi, which would more than likely have given Henry the perfect partnership to both create and score goals from more of a central position, and I think he would have thrived in an attack like this. I think that would have been perfect for him. But notice how I use the word would have. When Ancelotti joined Juventus, he claims he didn't know that he could play Henry down the middle, and that he didn't know he wasn't actually a winger. So instead, the Frenchman ended up playing as the left-sided winger, or even at times a wing-back, in a 3-5-2. Now, not only did this mean that his attacking opportunities were limited to just the left-hand side of the pitch, it also meant that he had an incredible amount of a defensive responsibility to drop back and defend in a 5-3-2 shape. So effectively, you've got an incredibly talented young Frenchman who is best on that left wing or striker position, and instead is being used as half of a left wing back. Brilliant use of a player there. You're starting to probably see why this didn't work out in the end at Juventus, but by chance, Henry bumped into Arsene Wenger on a plane where he told him that he was wasting his time playing on the wing and actually should be playing more of a striker. And so it said that they exchanged numbers, and off Henry went to Arsene Wenger's Arsenal, and of course the rest is history, and Henry and Ancelotti never crossed paths again. Now at the end of this season, Juventus, as I said, went on to finish 7th, but the year after they finished 2nd after a loss on the final day cost them the title. Kylian Mbappe. Love him or hate him, he's bloody brilliant, isn't he? Alongside Haaland and probably Bellingham, you can't deny he is arguably one of the best players in the world. That is just... It's just undeniable. That's why PSG were happy to spend over £150 million for his signature back in 2018 and were so reluctant to let him leave at the moment. Despite offering him endless contracts and so much power at the club, they just couldn't do it. They can't keep hold of their French superstar. But since joining the Parisian side, he's got 175 goals in 182 starts and has outperformed his XG on 6 out of 7 seasons that he's been there. The only one that he didn't was on his first season at the club. But what does all this have to do with Henry? And what does this have to do with Mbappe? Well, the similarities between the two go further than you might think. Yes, Henry has said that he thinks that he's very different to Mbappe. They're different people, therefore they're different sort of players. When you look at how they score goals, where they score goals from, the positions that they play, they're almost identical to an extent. Now I want to first of all show you these two goal maps. You can probably guess whose is whose. One is from Mbappe's time at PSG, the other is from Henry's time at Arsenal. And you can also probably see from where the goals were how a lot of them finished. We know Henry used to love cutting inside from that left wing position and curling the ball around into that far corner. Mbappe has done that. Maybe not to such a recognisable level, but he does it so often. And opening their foot up in front of the goal from that central position or left hand side is something that we don't actually see that often. You don't get many left wing striker players these days that are as clinical as these two are. You think of the likes of Darwin Núñez or Ollie Watkins. They are that similar sort of player, and whilst they've got incredible numbers, they're not being compared to the level of Henry or Mbappe. It's simple as. Now, there isn't much expected data on Henry, but in comparison to Mbappe, we can see that they average similar data per 90 for each assists, goals plus assists, shots on target, and goals per shot on target. Like it or not, they are very similar in their playing styles. They dribble progressively. They dribble with such pace. They both have such an array of skills in their locker. They attack that gap in between the centre-back and the full-back brilliantly, catching teams in behind, blindsiding the defenders, using that pace to beat the defensive line and create one-on-one opportunities. However, there is one clear difference between Mbappe and Henry under Ancelotti. Now, Mbappe can clearly play on either the wing or as a number 9. The difference is, this time Ancelotti knows that. He knows that he can play in both roles. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that I highly doubt we will see Mbappe playing left wing back in a 3-5-2 formation, or at least I really hope we don't. If he does, then I'm quitting football. Okay, so Mbappe has returned from the Euros. He's ready to begin the 2024-25 season of La Liga. Where does Ancelotti fit him into this team? Well, I'm going to propose 2 systems that we might see, which can complete Ancelotti's redemption plan. Now, it also gives Mbappe the freedom that he needs, but one of these systems come with a huge sacrifice. And can you guess who it's going to be? So the first system that I'm going to suggest, I think it's the best way to get all Real Madrid superstars into one team, but it does come with a change of shape. And now we know the beauty of their current squad is this relationism that we see so often, which means the front three of Bellingham, Vinicius and Rodrigo can interchange positions so beautifully. Alongside the left back and the left central midfielder, they are all left centric, meaning that they create overloads on this left hand side of the pitch as Bellingham comes tight, Rodrigo goes narrow, Mendy pushes high, Camavinga pushes high, or Cruz as it has been, and it creates overloads, which then means that on the right hand side they can commit Valverde, they can commit Carvajal and play the switch. to catch teams out on that right-hand side of the pitch. The way that this is all achieved is through this diamond shape that Ancelotti has them playing, which can also be known as a 4-3-1-2 or a diamond 4-4-2 or a 4-1-2-1-2. But in this system, there is no space to put Mbappe without taking out an attacker. So instead, what I'm going to suggest is actually a 4-3-3, and the player that's going to come out is Tchouaméni. Now, I know what you're thinking. Tchouaméni is a CDM. Mbappe is very much not one of them. We're going to have to see some changes here. And Valverde is going to stay playing as the right of a midfield three. I'm going to drop Camavinga into this central position here, which is a bit like where Kroos has played. I think Camavinga's probably their plan to replace Kroos. Obviously, they've still got Modric at the club, but he's not a long-term option. I think Camavinga is Kroos' long-term replacement. And this is where things change. Now, it could actually be Camavinga on the left of the midfield three as well. I haven't decided. There's two variations of this, but then we end up with Bellingham as the number 10. So then with this, Bellingham in the 10, Rodrigo right wing, Vinicius left wing, and in comes the main man, Kylian Mbappe. So we can see something a bit like this. So Rodrigo can still hold the width on that right-hand side. Vinicius can still add that pace and that flair on the left-hand side. Bellingham is still able to come into this position that we see so often. Rodrigo can be the player to be that lone player on the right-hand side to provide that underload option for the switch. And what I really like is this can happen as well, and you wouldn't really notice. Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. are both perfectly capable of playing both the left wing and the striker position. And it just allows them to attack the space as they need, where they feel like they want to. It doesn't matter who's in which spot, and that is going to create such chaos for the opposition's defence. And this setup still means that they can defend in a 4-4-2. So whether that's Vinicius and Rodrigo dropping back and then being in this position, or whether it's Vinicius and Mbappe as the two strikers with Bellingham dropping into the left mid position, both are viable options. So they can still defend in the way that they have been defending all year and doing so pretty well. So regardless of what happens, we're not actually seeing that much of a change in this system. I like it as almost a 4-2-3-1 in this kind of shape. And I don't think you're losing much from what they offer this season. Mendy still pushes high. Camavinga can drop into this position here. If not, then Valverde pushes high, Bellingham pushes there, and we end up in this kind of 2-3-5 shape, which is what they have been playing this year. So I don't think you're losing much. And Bellingham's not really dropping out of position that much. He's not changing too much. And I think that's something that you don't want to lose. Bellingham has been sensational this year. You don't want to lose that attacking quality that he has. And by playing this way, you don't really lose that. Now, obviously, Rodrigo could play inside right. Valverde can play right mid. Carvajal can push high. You've got so many different options. And it works. And I like this a lot. And you get all the superstars in one team. What's not to love? Now, System 2 requires a bit more of a sacrifice. So, for arguably not a major upgrade, instead, we keep this 4-3-1-2 shape, this diamond shape. But this time it's at the cost of Rodrigo. And in comes Mbappe. People aren't going to like that, and I know. Now, yes, this technically means that Mbappe is lining up on the right side of the attack to some extent, but chances are, as I mentioned in the first system, it's actually going to be Valverde and Carvajal pushing high that creates that width on the right-hand side. So it's not that bad of a place for Mbappe to play. Now, I actually want to show you Rodrigo's heat map from last season. Now, he's started only as a striker or a right winger, never a left winger, but look at where the majority of his touches come. They're still on the left-hand side. And this is due, again, to Ancelotti's idealism of having a free-flowing build-up with no strict positioning. So if Mbappe wants to attack the space over here, he can. If he wants to come over here, he can. He's got all the ability to free move anywhere he wants, and the others will do the same. And that is what makes Ancelotti's team so hard to defend against. There is no clear method to revise and practice. It's not like you playing against a strict 4-3-3 where you man mark. You can't do that. It's just impossible. I mean, as if man marking Vinicius and Bellingham wasn't enough, Now imagine adding Mbappe into that mix. The opposition's defences are going to be having nightmares. And the problem is that there's no system that you can set up to properly defend against this. If you try and force the teams wide, they'll create significant numerical advantages and quickly switch the ball to the opposite side of the play. Or if you force them narrow, they've got so much pace and skill that they'll still cut right through your defence and score a one-on-one, or at least create some great opportunity by playing in behind. And it's the mix-up and the complete ability to do anything in their attack that makes them impossible to predict. And that's what I love about them so much. Unlike the mistake that young Ancelotti made with Henry, where he played strictly on that left wing, never as a striker, this new system that Ancelotti has developed means that he will not make the same mistake again with Mbappe. The next Henry, probably better than Henry by the end of his career, he will not be played just as a left winger. He's more of a left wing striker hybrid. So if he wants to play left wing one day with Vinicius up top, he can. And if they want to switch, they can. And attacking in this 2-3-5 shape means that if Mbappe comes over here, Vinicius could go in the half space, Bellingham up top. Vinicius striker, Mbappe in the half space, Bellingham left winger. It makes no difference. It literally doesn't change anything. If they want to drop a bit deeper and play in between the lines, they can. They want to play a ball over the top for anyone to run onto, they can. And actually, in fact, why I think Mbappe and Bellingham are going to get on so well is Mbappe has thrived under the likes of strikers like Giroud, Icardi, Benzema, even to an extent Ben Yedder, where they are able to receive the ball to their feet, hold the ball, wait for Mbappe to start making that sprinting, run in behind, find him, and then you've got a brilliant counter-attacking situation. And I think Bellingham has been doing exactly that this season, which is why their link-up is going to be incredible. And I'd actually put money on... Potentially it could be Vinicius and Mbappe, but I'd put money on Bellingham and Mbappe linking up the most to create the most goals next season in La Liga. You heard it here first. I just think it's going to be sensational. It's going to be so good. And don't even get me started on the counter-attacks. The pace that they have in that counter-attack is going to be deadly. It's going to be horrible. As if Real Madrid don't score enough counter-attacks already, it's going to get even worse. So La Liga defenders, watch out. Start practicing your sprinting now. So there you have it. Ancelotti had a superstar right in front of him 25 years ago and just didn't know it. But this time, he most certainly knows it. And he will not repeat the same mistake again. And of course, Mbappe will be joining a squad that has just won the trophy. He's still yet to get his hands on the Champions League. So if you wanted to see a tactical breakdown on how Real Madrid managed to beat Dortmund in that final, then go and check out this video here. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very soon with my Euro predictions. Will Mbappe be lifting that too? Make sure to subscribe to see what I reckon, and I'll see you all very soon. Thanks for watching.